Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to Addis Dialogue. Today on the show, we'll be talking about a host of issues when it comes to the bilateral friendship between Ethiopia and the United Arab Emirates, especially focusing on development, humanitarian assistance, and how the UAE is supporting, in particular, Ethiopia and also Sudan when it comes to the humanitarian assistance in order to help alleviate the issues there. And in order to break it down for us, I'm so honored to be joined by His Excellency Sultan Mohammed Al Shamsi. He is UAE's Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs for Development Affairs and International Organizations. So he will provide us with valuable insights when it comes to the different initiatives that the UAE has embarked on to support the development initiatives of Ethiopia in particular and the countries in the region in general. I'm your host, Shifar Alaikum. Do stay with us. All right, Your Excellency, many thanks for making the time to talk to us and welcome to Ethiopia.
Thank you very much for hosting us.
Let's first off talk about the diplomatic relations between Ethiopia and your great country, the UAE. So how do you describe the relationship, the existing relationship between Ethiopia and the UAE at such a time like this?
Well, I think both countries are really enjoying a very strong relationship and in different levels, whether in business, people to people, government to government. So we see how this by time we grow and strengthen the collaboration every time with our brothers and sisters here in Ethiopia. I've seen many programs together to work in different areas, and this is one of the projects that we have done, and thank you very much for Ethiopia for co-host and organizing such very important meeting to support the Sudanese people, part of the humanitarian assistance. So today we witnessed actually the presence of the Mr. Prime Minister of Ethiopia and Prime Minister of Kenya, Mr. Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General, and IGAD, the African Union, including the UAE, to co-host a very important meeting to support the Sudanese. As you know, part of this collaboration, so we hope that to have really a stable and safe environment in Sudan. Ramadan just coming up in 2 weeks to come, and hope to have this humanitarian pause or ceasefire during Ramadan to respect this month, the holy month, to deliver more aid and programs. And this is just only one initiative that's been worked with Ethiopia. So we have a lot of programs here working with Ethiopia, and we see how this collaboration every time we see a new area of collaboration, and every time we explore that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, talking about the collaboration between Ethiopia and the UAE, how does the UAE, perceive or see Ethiopia as a development partner?
Well, Ethiopia, I think, is a very strategic country in Africa, and this is the way of how we collaborate with Ethiopia and in different business fields and people to people. So if you see actually as Ethiopia and the strategic location on this Horn of Africa, also hosting the African Union in Addis Ababa. Of course, we'd have the African Union summit where all the African Union presidents come here to negotiate. It's not about Africa as a continent, but also for the globe, how they can look for Africa and how they can provide this also as an important continent really in our world.
Interesting. So given the fact that the two countries have enjoyed long-standing friendship for a very long period of time, what are the potential areas of future cooperation between Ethiopia and the UAE, be it in terms of investment, technology, things like that?
Well, we have a lot of really potential investment on Ethiopia, and we have many private sector really willing to also to explore and expand on Africa and logistics, on agriculture, on the technology, and artificial intelligence as well. So we have a lot of really collaboration on that. We hope to see every time to explore that a way of collaboration.
How is the UAE trying to support Sudan, when it comes to finding remedies, lasting solutions to this bloody crisis in Sudan?
I think Sudan is very important to have a political solution first. It's very critical and important to have the ceasefire, permanent ceasefire and political solution, and to move to a more civilian government. But now, due to the conflicts, still we have also to stand up and increase our commitments from humanitarian assistance. So this is why working closely as an African Union here with Ethiopia, I think it's very critical and important to have this meeting before Ramadan to support the Sudanese. So we will continue our support for our Sudan's, brother Sudans, whether inside Sudan, also all the refugees in the neighboring countries in Chad and South Sudan and Uganda. So we have continuing our programs. If you see our contribution last 2 years since the conflict in April 2023, you already spent more than $400 million. And now today also we made another announcement, $200 million. So if you see also the past decade of the programs in Sudan, we have spent around $3.5 billion inside Sudan and the neighboring countries. And today I think we notice also, we see many countries have made new pledges, including countries from Africa. And this is really, it makes really also a difference. And it's also how to strengthen the South-South collaboration. It's really also important to have different voices, also different solutions for the such really conflicts. It needs really a global really efforts. It needs everybody to contribute to have this ceasefire and more to move to political solution. But hopefully with the ceasefire and what we have really asking for during Ramadan, I think it's very critical to get more aid, more access, social also people-to-people communication between the Sudanese is very important during Ramadan and after Eid as well.
That's something that should be done because, as you said, the holy month of Ramadan is coming and brothers and sisters in Sudan are really suffering from this bloody conflict. As you said, the leaders, the dignitaries were calling on international communities also to help put an end to this issue in Sudan. So how is the UAE prioritizing its development initiatives as part of its efforts of supporting other countries on the continent of Africa?
Well, when we come to priorities of our aid programs and how we can achieve the sustainable development goals, we look from different angles for the countries that want to achieve the SDGs by 2030. So we look for that and needs and gaps, and to see how we can fill gaps and enable countries to achieve these goals is very important. Just only 5 years to come to end by 2030. We need more countries to achieve that. As you know, Corona's came and they have really changed a lot of priorities for countries. We need just people to focus, make sure they have achieved the most important goals by 2030. So they're looking for that, looking for the gaps. Plus also, we cannot really work alone. Okay? I mean, it's not only the official development assistance that only will solve the problem, but also we have to engage more with the private sector. Because private sector is the key of generate jobs. I mean, if you want also to achieve this SDGs, it's very important also to engage with youth with women, to find really opportunities and more private sector engagement. That to see how we can complement the programs between the aid and also the private sector engagement on that. So we hope that we focus really also because still we are in the region, it's considered still really hot spots if you see in the Middle East, like in Gaza or in Yemen or others, and also in Africa. If you see Sudan, Somalia, Sahel countries, it's really hot spots. You need to have more focus to achieve that. But still we have a lot of neglected crises and forgotten crises, like in Rohingya in Bangladesh. If you see Venezuelan actually there in Venezuela. So I think is a lot of things, but we have to come together and work together to make sure everybody really focus on certain area, focus more on the certain groups of people or sector. That I think the model that we should achieve.
With the UAE now committed to supporting the different initiatives, development initiatives in different parts of Africa, do you have specific plans and initiatives in the pipeline as part of supporting the different countries in the region, including Ethiopia?
We have a continuous programs. If you see just only Sudan and neighboring countries, so we have some programs there within South Sudan and Chad, of course, the Sudan Center. Somalia also we have some programs. We continue also in a few programs in the DRC and also on the West Africa. That is just a part of Africa. But still, we're also looking for beyond Africa and Asia. Asia, you see, we have programs in Indonesia and also in Philippines and Bangladesh, also in our Middle East as well. Including that, also is moved to the small island states, like in the Pacific Islands or the Caribbean. So that is so fragile islands with the climate change effect. So also you're contributing by providing solar energy for these small islands, because it's so neglected. We have to support this, to stand up and to be really more resilient for the future.
What is your message to the international community, as part of helping put an end to this bloody crisis in Sudan and also, of course, in some other parts of Africa?
I think the solution is really political, and this is really, we have to make sure we have really a political, and we have to move the more like a civil government for Sudan. Second, we have really to increase our contribution to support the humanitarian plan. Next week, the UN will launch the new appeal for the Sudan and neighboring countries around $4.2 billion. So we need really to continue to support that, as make sure no one leave behind. Third, I think, is we have to grab this chance because we have Ramadan. We have really to pressure more to have the ceasefire during Ramadan. Hopefully will lead more permanent ceasefire for that. We need also to have more access, whether across border or cross line inside Sudan. I think it's very critical to make sure no one really wants to stop the aid, and we should not have a veto against humanitarian assistance. So I think really also important to continue such programs, and we have to look also as more in-depth programs to focus more on the so fragile and vulnerable people like children and women. We have to have more protection programs. Many areas actually in Sudan now really reach the famine areas stage. We have to support that to focus more on food security programs and nutrition as well, with a partner, international partner, with a UN organization or international organizations, and we can continue that. And we hope the peace and security for Sudan and all Africa and all the world.
Thank you so much for giving me some of your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And with that, we come to the end of today's program, ladies and gentlemen. Many thanks to you as well for having been with us so far. Until I see you next time with yet another program, it's a goodbye from me, Shifa Rawlak. Take care and stay safe.